All right, welcome to the team call. I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit nervous about this one because we're talking about twerking. I don't know why the thing keeps going off. If anyone can tell me why this keeps going off. Every time I wrote something for the Google Slides, when I wrote tweak, I thought I was writing twerk and I was laughing to myself. So today we're going to talk about the simple tweak that can change your business. And yes, I said tweak, not twerk. So who's excited? These messages keep going off and I can't make them go away. I'm blaming that one on you, Steph. All right. It went off again. I don't know how to turn it off. How do I, all of a sudden my Chrome started doing it. You can see that in the corner?
If you close your Facebook tab, will that get rid of it?
It's like a Chrome. Here it goes again. Hold on. A Chrome extension of some sort. And so every time anyone sends me a message, even though it says on Facebook I'm unavailable, it goes, and it's super annoying. Anyway, I'll try to ignore it. All right, back to twerking. Oh my gosh, there it went again. I've got to keeps doing that. So let me go back. Okay, so I've been doing this training, this leadership training from Bob Heilig. If you guys don't follow him, you really should. The thing I like about him is he breaks everything down and he pushes you to the next level. Like I've done hundreds of hours of trainings and he just continues to blow my mind. He keeps coming out with more and more stuff. And even though I do know a lot about the business, he always pushes you to the next level. So the particular training that I have been doing has been on Facebook prospect. And he's talking about the simple thing that probably most of us do wrong, including me. 100% was me too until I did this training. And so I'm going to talk about that tonight. So the simple tweak that could change your business is we need to start imagining we're at a grocery store. Okay? But that sounds kind of funny. But when you're talking to people on Facebook, I want you to imagine that you're in all of the aisle and you're talking to them, and it's going to change the way that you do business on Facebook. Because I know it changed the way I do Facebook since I've taken this training. So keep that visual in your mind. You're at a grocery store, wherever you go grocery shopping, you know, Aldi or whatever, Costco or whatever it is. So this is the way, and this is my own messenger from July 5th. So this is pretty recent. So basically, Steph and I and Amy and all of us were telling you to send out cold messages to people who are active. And we're still going to tell you to do that, but we're going to change things a little bit. So this is basically don't mind the capitalization error that I had there. Obviously, companies out really, really fast. It was probably one of these like challenges where Steph and I, how many can we get out? And we would like get them out really, really fast, and they were effective. But what I found is that there's an even more effective way. So here's an example of a message I used to send. Hey, beautiful. Oh no, we got a lawnmower going. Can you guys hear me over the lawnmower? Okay. Hey, beautiful. We're doing another testimony and giveaway group Monday, focusing on natural solutions for anxiety, sleep, energy, digestion, and more. Would you like to hop in? So I would consider that to be a pretty good message. Some of the things that I did do right was I didn't name the company name. I got pretty much straight to the point. I went at their pain points. And so I would say those are things that are done pretty well. However, when we bring ourselves to the grocery store scenario, it kind of gets you thinking. So one of the things he said was treat people the way you would in an actual real life conversation, AKA in the grocery store. So now let's go back and take this message in the grocery store. So Steph, you and I are going to meet up in the grocery store, so you're going to have to unmute yourself. And I see Steph in the grocery store and I say, hey, beautiful. And she says,
Hey.
Hey, and I say, we're doing another testimony and giveaway group Monday, focusing on natural solutions for anxiety, sleep, energy, digestion, and more. Would you like to hop in? And Steph would say, right? Because it's not real life. Okay? So, do I have the wheels turning? So if Steph and I really were going to meet in a grocery store, I probably wouldn't talk that way, would I? Probably not. Probably I would do some other things before I bring up what I'm doing, right? And so I think sometimes when we're hiding behind a computer, we sometimes forget that these are actually real people, right? And I don't think there's anything wrong with what we were doing. We were shooting off cold messages to people who we've built a relationship with. We weren't mentioning the company. And it's not that we were doing anything wrong, but, you know, as you grow as a business owner, you always learn how to do things better and better and better. So that's where this simple little tweak came in. So, like I said, 3 rules to make an effective post. 1, don't mention the name of your company in the initial contact. Some of you guys get kind of confused by this. So when I say this, sometimes you're like, oh, they asked what company I'm with. Can I tell them? And I'm like, yeah, of course you can tell them. But I feel like I need more light. It's starting to get dark out here. Hold on, I'm going to do that before I get like too into my heated content. 1 second. I have to go out here because there's like nowhere in my house that I can do this. Okay, that's better. So like if somebody straight up asks you like, oh, what company are you with? Usually I say something along the lines of like, oh, I'm with a holistic wellness company called Soul Naturals. Have you heard of us yet? You know, we're just starting to explode in the Midwest or something like that. Or we're just starting to explode wherever that person lives. So don't get confused when we say like, don't mention the name of your company in the initial content, like contact. We mean like, don't go out and say like, hey, I'm Kristen and I'm with Soul Naturals. Would you like to join? Okay. Number 2, don't mention network marketing in the initial contact. Like, I don't even really, when I saw that tip, I didn't really feel like I even needed to say that because like, I'm pretty sure none of us are going to be like, hey, I joined this network marketing company called Soul Naturals. Like, okay, let's just take that for granted. And number 3, don't use generic copy and paste, okay? And like, I want to like explain this a little bit. Like, I have no problem with copy and paste messages. I have a problem with generic ones, and I'm going to teach you how to do that as we go on. So there is some copying and pasting involved because that's just like, let's be frank, that's just a time saver because you say a lot of the same things to the same people, to different people. But let's steer away from the generic ones. And let's be honest, how many of us have gotten invited to those like book parties and they forget to delete the quotation marks? Like literally, I've gotten Facebook invites from people where it says quotation mark, hey, Kristen, would you be interested in attending my book party? We do educational books, blah, 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 blah. Quotation mark. Like whoever was the consultant sent that to them to say, but they literally forgot to get rid of the quotation marks. So like, we're not them, okay? But I also don't want to say don't ever use copy paste. All right. Okay, so step number 1. Let's bring ourselves back to the grocery store. So Steph and I see each other in the grocery store. We're walking through the Aldi grocery store. Probably the first thing I'm going to say to her is, hey, Steph, how's everything going? How's AJ? Oh my goodness. Hold on.
Oh, I'm here. Sorry.
What was that?
Am I responding again?
No, but
Oh, okay.
But I'm pretty sure I'll get a notification if you are. Because I don't know how to turn that off. If anybody knows how to turn that off.
Oh, no, I just meant to you, to your.
Oh, it's okay. So I guess what I'm just trying to say is like, if we go back to the grocery store scenario, if I saw Steph in the grocery store, the natural thing to do would be to be like, hey, Steph, how's it going? How's life? You know, what have you been up to? Da, 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 da. We're not going to jump right in and be like, hey, beautiful, you want to come to my happy hour? Da, 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 da. No, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, Steph, how are things going? Or whatever you would say. Maybe you say, how are things shaking? I don't know. However you talk, like talk the way you talk. Okay? Step number 2, remember that the less you say, the more you will make. Network marketers have a problem with word vomit. We love to vomit all over people. And that's something that took me a long time to get past. You know, like, say something, wait for them to respond. Say something, wait for them to respond. Like, if your response is more than 2 to 3 sentences and I have to scroll up, I'm not reading it. I'm sorry, I'm not. Even if it's very well written. Amy and I were talking about that one night. Like, she wrote up the sweetest message about the gift of soul and how you could be a hostess and stuff like that. And I was like, Amy, this is written really well, but I got to scroll up to get to the start of it. This would actually do better in an email. So you got to remember the platform you're using. If it's more than 2 to 3 sentences, nobody's going to scroll up and read it. So try to avoid word vomit. The less you say, the more you will make. And step 3, make sure you respond for the prospect to respond before messaging them again. So going back to the grocery store, I wouldn't walk up to Steph and be like, hey, Steph, how are things going? So I wanted to let you know that my kids start school next week. And, oh, by the way, I have this happy hour and I thought that you might be interested in blah, 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 blah. That's like not how a natural conversation works. So naturally you would say, hey, Steph, how's it going? And she would say, oh, it's going well. We just, sorry, I got another notification. And then I would say, and then more than likely, what is she going to say back to me? How are things going with you? And I'd say, oh, I'm going great. My kids start school next week, Okay, so make it like a natural conversation. Okay, once again, treat the prospect the same way you would in an actual live conversation. If you saw someone in a grocery store, what would you say? Okay, so we're going to talk about 4 scenarios. So I think you guys are getting like the basic gist of this, and you're probably at this point being like, okay, Kristen, but how does this translate on Facebook when we're trying to invite people to happy hours and, you know, we're trying to tell people about what we do? So these are the 4 scenarios that Bob gave, and I kind of sort of made them my own, okay? So the 4 scenarios are someone you know well, which is what we call a warm market prospect. Number 2 is somebody you haven't talked to in a while, which is sort of like a lukewarm prospect. Someone who's already told you no, and someone you don't know, which is a cold market prospect. So it's like somebody that you just added as a friend. You're just like really starting to get to know them. You're going through like the whole forming stage or whatever. You guys chime in. Is this making sense? Everybody getting it so far? I'm so used to like more interactive calls. Right now I feel like I'm just like, blah, 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 blah. So please chime in if you have any questions. Let me check the chat. You have to disable it in Chrome extensions. Okay, I will do that. Okay, so scenario number 1 is a warm market prospect. So this is how your grocery store message is going to go. You're going to say, hey, Heather, how have you been? And then Heather's going to respond back and she's
I've been fabulous. How have you been?
And I'm going to say, I'm doing great. My kids are going back to school next week. I get to get rid of them. I'm so glad because I'm so sick of them. Da, 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 da. And then I say something like, hey, Heather, what's your schedule like this week? There's something I'd like to tell you about. And she'd say,
I am available right now. What you want to talk about?
More than likely, actually, she would say, what is it? Right? Because she doesn't know what she's committing.
Okay.
That's when you just
tell me more.
Yeah, tell me more. And you and please, please, please put this in your own words. Like, this is not even close to how I talk, okay? Not even close. Like, put it into your own words. You could say something along the lines, I'm hosting a group this week that I thought you or someone you know might be interested in. Heather, would you be interested in that?
Yes, I would.
Yeah. Actually, she would probably say something like, I don't know, tell me more, da 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 da. And I would say, this is a Facebook group where we'll be sharing holistic solutions, da 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 da. It would also be great to catch up online. Okay, so really, it's kind of like we're doing the same thing we were doing before. What's really the only difference? There's one little tweak. What's the little tweak?
Talking to people, it's not like I don't want to say monotone, but it's not like an automated message. You're being a real live person.
So like if you look at like 2, 3, and 4, they're pretty much the same thing that we've been saying all along. What's the only difference? Is number 1. It's how we're starting the conversation. Instead of busting out and word and being like, hey, I'm doing this great group join, you're actually taking the time to listen to people and actually saying to them like, hey, how you been? Hey, how's it going? Hey, I saw you had the first day of school today. Have a little conversation and then dive into the topic. So really, it's such a simple concept. Listening, making it about them and listening, waiting for a response. Heather looks fabulous. I'm telling her that too. So that's a warm market prospect.
Love you guys.
Yeah. That's somebody that you already have a relationship with. You've already been forming them. They've been going through your CRM. You've been liking, commenting. They know who you are. This is a warm market prospect. So basically, you're doing the same thing that we always did, but instead of coming out and just ramrodding them, for lack of words, with the group, like you're actually taking the time to ask them how they're doing and things like that. Okay, let's go to the next one. Oh, real quick. So if they don't respond, which they may or may not, send them a quick follow-up, but wait like 48 hours usually is what I say, like 24 to 48 hours. If you go beyond that, they're going to have forgotten, because I don't know about you, but like I sometimes look at a message on my phone and then I'm like, oh, I got to get back to that person. And then I forget. So sometimes just like a little simple courtesy, like, hey, just stopping by, Heather, just seeing if you were interested in that group that I told you about. Like, no big deal. I would just love to catch up with you either way. You know, something nice like that. Like a follow-up is a real courtesy. It's not something you should be afraid to do. Let's see the chat. Ramrod. I couldn't think of anything else to say. All right. Number 2. This is the one I use for our current happy hour. And I'm not going to lie, having a happy hour on a Monday is hard for me because I tend to take Friday, Saturday until Sunday off. Okay. Whoa, what just happened there? Do you guys see those 3 lines? Well, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll ignore that. Anyway, Steph's got to put her glasses on so she can see it better. So I actually decided to try this. We're doing a happy hour today, and Monday happy hours, like I said, are hard for me because I typically don't Friday or Saturday, and then I usually don't start working until Sunday night. So by Sunday night was the first time I'd actually started inviting anybody to this. So I decided to give this strategy an approach, or to give it a try. And this was the one that I felt super comfortable with. So it's your warm market prospect. It's opinion approach. So it starts off the same way, like, hey, Abby, how have you been? Wait for them to respond. You know, I don't know if I would say the schedule thing because that doesn't sound like me, but maybe some of you guys can use that. I would just say, hey, Abby, I could really use your help. There's something I'd like your opinion on. Something along those lines. I think I said something like, most of the time I use this on other fellow MLMers. So I said something along the lines like, hey, I know we're both in network marketing. I'd really love your opinion. Would you be willing to hop in one of my groups and let me know what you think? And like literally anyone who is like a unique girl, a young living girl. I got a Monet girl. And I literally went to it with like, I would just love to know what you think about what we're doing because we're both in network marketing, blah, 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 blah. And so I was just asking basically for their opinion. So obviously then they're going to ask what it is. You say it's a Facebook group where we share holistic solutions, blah, 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 blah. I need someone I trust, respect to give me some honest feedback. I really value your opinion when it comes to these things. And like people who are in a sister business, like another network marketing company, were like, yeah, sure. And, you know, some of them were like, yeah, you want to hop in my group too? I'd love to hear what you think about it. Like, boom. There was no like pressure. And I got 3 health assessments today from these people, other network marketing companies who are now in my happy hour, just because I was like, hey, would you be willing to hop in there and just, you know, tell me we're trying this new approach. I don't know. I'd have to like look back at what I exactly said. Obviously, this is the script I start with, but then I kind of like make it my own. I recommend that you would do that too. And you could also use this for like people who like are acquaintances or whatever, and you have like a good relationship with. You could say like, hey, you know, we've been friends for a long time and I really value your opinion. Would you be willing to hop in and just check out what I'm doing? Like, I would just love your opinion if you think that this is a good fit for me. Like, you're just asking for their opinion. Heather, were you going to say something?
Do what?
So the opinion is about your presentation. No, the opinion is like, hey, what did you think of the group? Do you think you'd be interested in it? Do you think other people would be interested in it? What can I improve? Blah, 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 blah. So it's just like a non-intimidating, like they could literally come back and be like, I think you gave too much information. And I could say, well, what information did you find not relevant? Or they might come back and be like, oh my gosh, I'm really interested in this. And 3 of them took health assessments today. So really it's just like an approach to get them to join your group. Why is this here? Did I do that? I don't know. I know, it's like, I don't want you to do this presentation. Someone you haven't spoken to in a while. So this one was kind of fun too, because obviously I was in business for 5 years and I had tons and tons of customers. And when I switched to Soul, oh, it's gone now. Weird. Yeah, it's kind of creeping me out. When I switched to Soul, there were some like customers that, didn't want to come with me. I hadn't talked to them in a while. Maybe there's old high school friends or college friends or people you used to work with. This is something that would work for them. So, hey, so-and-so, grocery store scenario. I just ran into, who am I up to? Peggy in the grocery store. And I say, hey, Peggy, I haven't seen you in a long time. What have you been doing since college? Da, 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 da. In this case, since they're not a warm market prospect, you're probably going to have to build up that relationship again. So keep that in mind. If it's somebody you haven't spoken to in a while, like you haven't talked to them since 2016, even on Facebook, like you're going to have to talk to them for a little while, but not too long. So Bob did a really good job of explaining this. He was like, people are going to appreciate like checking in. How are your kids? How are things going? Da, 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 da. But then if you let that part go too long, it gets to creepster mode where they start to feel like, well, why did this girl message me out of the blue? Like, what's her point? What does she want? Da, 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 da. And so people would much rather be like, okay, let's talk about like 2 or 3 things. How are your kids? How's life? How's whatever? And then you say, hey, I wanted to message you. I wanted to reach out. I'm starting this group tomorrow. I just thought maybe you'd be interested. Would you like to hop in? Da, 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 da. I used this one quite a bit yesterday too. And it worked. I talked back and forth to some old customers and I said, hey, it's been a long time. I haven't really talked to you much since I switched from Beachbody. Da, 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 da. How are the kids? And this one girl, Holly, she was like, oh yeah, I didn't even really realize that she'd switched. And we talked and then I put her in the group and she actually thanked me afterwards. And she was like, thank you so much for reaching out to me. I've been wondering what you'd been up to. I kind of stopped seeing your stuff and you weren't, we were communicating because of Beachbody anymore and da, 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 da. Like people will appreciate you reaching back out to them if you do it in the right way. So, all right, we got to chat. What time day? I literally like sat and chit chatted with them for 3 or 4 minutes and then went in for the kill, I guess is what I would say. So I literally just like asked how their family was, how are things going, when their kids start school, are they excited, da, 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 da. And then I asked them if they wanted to join the group. Because otherwise, if you let it go on too long, people are not stupid. They'll figure it out and they'll be like, why is she messaging me just out of the blue? Like people don't just always, sometimes we do, but most of the time there's got to be a reason. And they're going to start to wonder, why are you messaging me? And then they're going to start to be like, I don't know why this girl's messaging me, kind of a thing. I think that's where I have the hardest time transitioning from chit chat to inviting. Just say it. And Kristen retails her face off. She knows what she's talking about. Sometimes I do. Yeah, I just go out and say it. I just say like, hey, literally, I think I wrote, I should go back to some of my messages. I think I wrote something like, so I wanted to reach out to you because I'm doing this cool thing tomorrow. Da, 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 da. Just say it like that. People will appreciate your forwardness. Okay, this one's fun. I haven't actually tried this one, but for someone, if you in the past were very spammy or very in their face or jumped the gun too much, or maybe you were in another business where you did that or whatever the case is, It's called the somebody who already told you no, I totally screwed up approach. And it literally is exactly what it is. So it's just like, hey, Rachel, long time no talk. Hey, I owe you an apology. The last time I shared my business with you, I did it totally wrong. You didn't realize, but now I know better. Things have been going really well, and I've been thinking about you, wondering if you'd be open to having a conversation, give me an opportunity to share with you what I'm doing the right way. It may or may not be for you, but maybe you know somebody. So in other words, it's just acknowledging the fact, like, hey, dude, I'm sorry. Like, I probably word vomited you. I probably was too pushy. I didn't know any better. You know, I may have turned you off. Will you give me another chance? And people are pretty nice most of the time, and they'll be like, yeah, totally. You know, I'd love to hear how you're doing. Or, you know, they might even just be like, oh, thanks for apologizing. That means a lot. You know, I'm still really not interested, but that means a lot to me that you apologize. And then you have a clean slate with them at least, right? So that one is kind of fun. Kat says, I've used this. I've gotten great results. I used it when it came to their name and realized the last 4 messages were all sales. Oh, no. Yeah. All right, checking back in approach. So these are people like that you haven't talked to in a while, okay? Hey, so-and-so, long time no talk. Wait for them to respond. Imagine you're in a grocery store, like, wait. Like, don't jump the gun. Wait for them to respond. This one's kind of ballsy. It says, I know that you're not interested in holistic solutions, but I can really use your help with something. I want to do some market research on our new package. Would you be willing to watch a video and give me your opinion? So in other words, you're kind of like calling their spade. Like, hey, you told me in the past you weren't interested in soul. We've got this new thing out there. I was wondering if you'd be willing to look at it and just give me your opinion. And that would be something that you could do, like you could send them the balance package video. Because the thing is, it gets them to watch. Hold on, let me turn it off. It gets them to at least watch the video. So they might come back and be like, nope, still not interested, but at least they know what it is you're doing, right? Another, oh, somebody asking something? Oh, no. Another way that you could say that is and if you don't want to be so ballsy and say, hey, I know you're not interested, you could just say, hey, I can't see any more people. Who am I up to? Hey, Tammy. Long time no talk. I could really use your help with something. Would you be willing to check out this new thing we have and let me know if you think people would be interested? Right? That makes sense? Sometimes the waiting is the hardest part. I do this with members who haven't ordered in a while to get the balance package info into them. That is genius. Okay. Woo! Did that wake everybody up? That's nice, bright green. Yes, or something you could be like, I just want to let you know I'm going to take you off my checklist. Yes, yes, yes. That's one of my favorite ones to do. Like, sometimes I'll message people and be like, hey, I kind of feel like I'm bothering you, just letting you know I won't keep messaging you, blah, 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 blah. And then it's so funny because then they'll come back and be like, oh, you weren't bothering me. I'm so sorry. Yeah, let me check it out again. I kind of forgot about it or whatever. As soon as you say, like, oh, I'm moving on, then all of a sudden they're interested. Okay. So messaging tip, obviously, Steph and I have said this to you guys like a gazillion times. Like, please use voice messages. Not necessarily with the like, hey Heather, how are you doing? Or how are things going? Like you could type out, but like the next part, voice message it because then they can hear your tone of voice. Let's see. I was going to use that approach with a gal who was going gangbusters before I left for Utah, and I was cricket. It's exactly what I would do. I get a good response after that, says Abby. Okay. All right. So another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about was the theory of the 3 types of apples. So I really, really enjoy when he talks about this, and it's a great reminder for me. And Lisa and I were actually just talking about this. So you got to look at the people on your Facebook platform. It is your job to sort them, not to sell them. It is your job to sort of go through your list and determine who's ready, who's almost ready, and who's not ready, and who you don't want to deal with at all. There are legitimately people who I know would purchase from me that I don't want their business. They're either going to be a headache, or they're going to return, or they're going to take up too much of my time, and I, quite frankly, don't people want to work with them. And so it's really your job to kind of sort through the list of people to determine where your people are at that time. And he calls it finding people at 12 o'clock. So your job is to sort out and find those people who are at 12 o'clock. It may be that sometimes those people are at 11:58, but they're not at 12 o'clock. And a little bit more loving, a little bit more time, a little bit more information, a little bit leaving them alone, whatever they need might get them to 12, but they're not there yet. And it's not your job to get them there. They're going to get there on their own. So there's 3 different types of apples when you're thinking of customers. Oh, I got a little boy. So number 1 is the red apples. Can you say hi to everybody? You see all your friends? You want to see her kid? What's her kid's name? AJ. I want to see her kid.
We'll send you a video tomorrow, okay?
She'll send you a video tomorrow, okay? Oh my goodness, you are bleeding all over the place, kid. All right. Go back by daddy, okay? Mommy's almost done. Okay. So there's 3 different kinds of apples. There's red apples, there's green apples, and there's rotten apples, okay? So the red apples are those. Okay, they make slime. He's pretty proud of it. So the red apples are 10% of your people. Those are the people who are going to be interested. They're going to be open. They're going to take a health assessment right away. They're going to say yes right away. Some of you guys were my red apples. Like the first couple times that I talked to you about Soul, like you either jumped in as a customer or as a specialist. I mean, I was like a fluorescent red apple for Steph because like she didn't even talk to me before I signed up. She met me the day I signed up. So, you know, those are the people where you can be a little bit more like, all right, let's take the health assessment. These are your top 4. Way to go through the ordering process. Do you staff quit messaging? Just messing with you. Do you want me to place the order or you want to place the order? Like those are the people, like they're at 12 o'clock. They're not at 11:58. They're at 12 o'clock. They're pretty much ready to go. That's only 10% of your people, if you're lucky, okay? Another 10% of your people are those negative Nellies. And those are the people that you don't want anything to do with. You want to run away from them. You don't try to convince them. You let them be right, and you can be right, what Bob always says. So, for example, like if you have somebody that comes in and says, you're in one of those pyramid schemes, best reply that you could say is, I don't know, it doesn't seem like one, but, you know, maybe you're right. Or you could say something like, I don't think I'd be involved with that, but, you know, it's working for me. Let them be right. Or they could say, I have one girl in my neighborhood who is convinced that Cinemate is going to give her the shakes. And she is like telling everybody it has caffeine in it. It's going to give you the shakes and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, you know what, Karen? It really doesn't. But, you know, until you try it, you might be right. And I just leave it be. I'm just letting her be. Like, it's to the point where half our neighborhood is on Soul products except for her because she just literally will not try it. And so that's a rotten apple. I don't want to work with her. Even if she tried to purchase from me, I would probably pawn her off on one of you guys, to be honest. No, I'm just kidding. So those are the red apples. Or the green, rotten apples. You just want to run away from them. 80% of those people are people who are interested but need some time. They have some questions. And those are the people that you need to be patient with, because those are the people who might appear to be at 12 o'clock, but they're really at 11:58. Or they might appear to be at 12 o'clock, but really they're at 11:45 or they're at 11:15 or whatever. And they need some time. They need to ask some questions. They need to sit and find your soul for a while. They need to hear more testimony. They need to be invited to more than one happy hour. Like what we do with happy hours, like it does put a lot of pressure on people. Like we do a happy hour, we close them out in 24 to 48 hours, and the people who are going to make those quick decisions are those red apples, which is only which is only 10% of those people. The other 80% of the people you put in your happy hour are probably going to sit and find your soul for a while, and they're going to ask questions, and they might need to go to another happy hour, and they might, need for you to love on them for a little while, and that's okay, because pretty soon they're going to ripen into red apples. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. We have a chat. Oh, letting them be right is hard. Oh my gosh. I learned that from my family, because my family is very opinionated. And sometimes I'll just be like, oh, I never thought of it that way. And sometimes I call it kill them with kindness. I had a situation the other day where one of my family members was like ripping me apart. And I was like, oh, I didn't think I gave that impression. I'm so glad that you told me that, And it was like, what was she going to say to that? Like, oh, I'm so glad you told me that so that we could work this out. And like, she had nothing to come back with, because I'm not going to fight. Like, that's not who I am as a person. And so that's how you have to approach your business as well. You could be like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize it came off that way. Or I'm so sorry that you got that impression, or, whatever. Just let them be right. It's hard, but once you just agree with them, they're like, what? Exactly. Because they're looking for you to argue with them. Just like the girl down the street, Karen, who's convinced that Cinemate is going to like give her the shakes. Like, I know she's waiting for me to come back and like argue with her, and I won't. So whatever. Okay, so some objection reviews. So I don't have money for that. So you've gone through this whole process. You've had a great conversation with them. Maybe they're in a happy hour or whatever. So they say to you, I don't have money for that. The best thing that you can say to them, and I use it all the time, is I'll say, tell me more about that. Because then it gets them thinking. Like, tell me more. Like, you don't have the money. And then usually they'll come and they'll be like, well, school is starting. We have to buy school supplies. And I'll say, okay, well, will next month be better? So you don't have money right now because you just told me school supplies and but school's starting next week. So should I touch base with you next month? So the point is to get to their core motivation and find out if they're serious. And like, you don't really have to ask a lot. Literally, all I say is like, tell me more about that. Like, tell me more about why you don't have money right now. Obviously, I don't say that. But, and then if they're for real serious, like I have one girl who is for real serious. They just went down to one income. They do have some things going on. And I would suggest, if you have someone in that situation, suggest they host a happy hour. And say like, hey, well, I know you really, really want to give Vital a try, blah, 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 blah. Why don't you host a happy hour? We'll see how it goes, see if you can get some free stuff. And then, if it goes really well, you can ask them to sign up as a specialist. So like, it's all about getting them to talk. The point being is you don't argue with them. You can't, if somebody says to you like, I don't have money for that, you can't be like, well, yes, you do. You just are not choosing it to spend it on this. No, that's not going to get you anywhere. Like, just be their listening ear. Oh, shoot. Half of my presentation got gone. Oh, okay. Well, we'll just skip that point. All right. So the key points: speak like you would in real life. Take these scripts and make them your words. And your job is to sort, not sell. Have enough respect for yourself to know when to pull back, and have so many apples that it doesn't matter. So some of you might get annoyed with me when you ask me, how many health assessments have people filled out? And I say, I have absolutely no clue, because I don't count. Because you know what? I'm so focused on getting the next one and the next one and the next one that if I have somebody fill out a health assessment and after 3 or 4 follow-ups, they don't come back to me, it's okay, because I've already gotten 5 or 6 in the meantime. So that's what I mean. Have so many apples that if like you have a rotten customer who's giving you a pain in the butt, you're so busy with the other people, you don't even notice them. And that's not to sound arrogant, but that's the truth. Once you keep filling up your plate, it doesn't matter. And have enough respect for yourself to know when to pull back. If somebody is being kind of a pain in the butt customer, like one of you guys had a pain in the butt customer tonight. This girl wanted to know the carb breakdown, the sugar breakdown, the fiber breakdown, I can't even remember what else. of all these products. And no matter how we try to explain to her that, like, that's not really how soul works, and that was just going to be a big giant time sucker, because I knew that she wasn't going to purchase anyway. Have enough respect for yourself to say, hey, I can put you in this group called Soul Experiences. They have a ton of information in there. I bet you that they have the carbs and sugars listed in there. Or send them a screenshot. But don't get back and forth into this argument. Have enough respect for yourself to know that when to pull back, and they're just looking for things to nitpick. I'm going to turn the PowerPoint presentation off. I mean, I had that with a Young Living girl. Like, this Young Living girl was like asking me all these questions, like, how do you process your oils? How often do they third party test them? You know, where do you source your materials, and da-da-da-da. And I entertained her for a while, but after a while I had enough respect for myself that I was like, well, you know, I don't really see you purchasing our oils anytime in the future. So is there anything else I can help you with? Are you interested in any of our other products? Because really, she was just trying to nitpick. She was just trying to see what we had versus what she had so that she had fuel. And I had enough respect for myself to pull back and be like, I'm not playing this game. I played it for a while and now I'm done. So, all right. So who's going to treat their conversations like you're at a grocery store? Does that make sense? I'll tell you, you simply start with the question, hey, Kathy, how's it going? Or, hey, Peggy, how did your kids' first day of school go? And just listen for just a couple minutes. Your turnover will be so much more. Granted, yes, did some people not reply to me? Absolutely. That's just going to happen. But, and if nothing else, you just had a good conversation with them, right? So,
can I emphasize too, this is what you guys should be doing every day when you're doing your CRMs. So now this is like the point of now that you guys should also be doing more frequent happy hours. This is when you're utilizing like the people that are active now, instead of just saying like, hey, we're doing this happy hour, you want to jump in? It's still the same thing that you should be doing every single day, right?
mm-hmm. Yep.
I think like a lot of people always have that question. And what I loved about what Kristen said is that's where everybody's getting hung up, right? Like now you're having a conversation and everyone's kind of worried about when to transition or whatever. And just like she said, if you don't transition, they're going to be like, you're super weird. Clearly you want something from me, so just spit it out. So where it's like, if you just have a little bit of a conversation and say, hey, you know, a lot of times, like with Amy, what I really love how Amy says it is like, we know she's like all in her heart always when she's speaking. And so I was like, well, just say to him like, hey, it's really been on my heart to let you know, or it's really been on my heart to ask you if you'd be interested, you know, just like whatever that looks like. But I love that you pointed out that you just say it. And you guys, Kristen had over 30 reorders last month on top of all of her new members. She's doing something right. Like, she knows what she's doing.
You got to rip really up the Band-Aid sometimes. Rip up.
I'm like, yeah. But that's the thing is like, and also she also has large orders. You know, forever I was shooting myself in the foot for being like, well, if it's 125, then we can take it off and and you know, her orders are got $800 orders sometimes. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I don't know. I just told them like, you probably need number 1, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You know, and I'm like, dang. And they do. You have to realize, you guys, people are taking a lot of stuff. If people are coming from Beachbody, they're taking Shakeology, they're taking the Performance Line, they're taking BCAA, they're taking all of these other things that they think that they need to be taking. They're taking the GNC version of this and this version of powder and this over-the-counter allergy, and you know, and so that's what I also love about when they're like, I just don't have money for this. When you get down and you're asking them, and even say like, and you can be like, oh, what are some, if you don't mind telling me, what are some of the things that you are taking? Because if we can possibly eliminate, you know, what I like to say in my little elevator pitch or whatever, is I like to say, my goal is to make sure that my members never have to go to CVS again. Like, meaning all of the over-the-counter stuff they're taking, filling prescriptions, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's powerful. And when you can kind of start to get them to see, like, oh, I won't need to buy vitamins for my kids anymore. I won't need to buy this super crappy $55 probiotic that I'm taking that's full of a bunch of crap for my kids. You know, once you're starting to educate them on all of those things, now all of a sudden, those are the people that bust out with like a $300 order. No joke. It's always the people that are like, I can't. I just don't have any money. And then when you're like, oh, well, let's see how, like Kristen said, what about next month? But when you're like, let's see what are things that we can eliminate. Maybe because they don't realize, like, once I say I have to keep touching my phone because it's too dark. Once I say, like, we literally, Soul is your one-stop shop. You shouldn't have to go anywhere else anymore.
Well, and it's funny that you bring that up because Deacon, Autumn, Kenley, and Deacon were babysat by one of my members today, members' kids. And Kenley got stung by a hornet. And, like, I'm telling you, she had, like, a ring on her leg like this big. And right away my friend was like, you should go pick up the Benadryl gel, and do you have this, and do you have that? And I was like, no, I'm pretty sure, like, I can just use some of the stuff I have. And so I quick texted Corinne, and she called me back, and she's like, use Omegas and use Clarify, 2 drips of Calm, and Balance, and the AC cream, put it on her leg, and, like, literally within minutes, it was going down. And I was like, I didn't have to go to CVS because I had it all in my cabinet. Like, literally, we haven't had to go to a drugstore for anything but Band-Aids. The Soul don't have Band-Aids. We need Band-Aids. But yeah, it really is true. There's something else that I was going to say. Now I lost my train of thought. But
I have a question. I was actually listening to Bob's unit today on Prospect Day while I was at the gym. So it was like perfect that you were doing this tonight. When do you ask him to get on the phone? Because, like, that's his second thing, you know?
Yeah, I didn't get into that tonight because I was, like, thinking that would be too much information. But the way I work my business is once they filled out a health assessment, they get an email. And in the email, it has a link to schedule a phone call with me. If they do not schedule a phone call in that first email, the second email goes out. And it just says, like, hey, here's a little bit about me, da, 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 da. Another link to schedule a phone call. So literally, I'd say 50 to 75% of the time, I get them on the phone. Because the sales happen so much faster then. You get them on the phone, you discuss the results, I place the order for them, boom, it's done in a half hour. I feel like if you try to close a sale on Facebook, you message a little bit, they walk away. They message a little bit, you're eating dinner. And it goes back and forth and back and forth. You're much better getting them on the phone. And so usually the health assessment is like the trigger point for me, where I get, like, tomorrow I have 3 back-to-back phone calls of people who took health assessments for today's happy hour. And so that's usually when I get them on the phone, but, you know, does it happen with everybody? No, of course not. You know, does that help?
Yeah, so do you just, like, refer them to the email? I mean, you're having this conversation on Facebook Messenger, and then you send them an email. So
it's double whammy.
What do you say on Facebook?
So what I say on Facebook,
do you just tell them that?
Yeah, so what I say on Facebook, I usually say something like, hey, I got your health assessment, sending you an email right now. And then that's when the emails start. And the emails, good night, Amy. And then while the emails are going, I'm also touching base with them on Facebook. Like, hey, did you get my email? When's a good time to talk about your health assessment? Do you want to talk on here? Do you want to talk on the phone? Do you want to do a video? So getting those emails while I'm also touching base with them on Facebook. So I'm doing both at the same time. And so it's double touch. That makes sense?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Even when the communication is over on Facebook, I always say, when can you jump on a quick call? Yeah. Or if you wanted to be like super professional, you could be like, do you want to jump on a call Tuesday at 9 or Wednesday at 12:30? But sometimes.
Yeah, like when you're like, so I would love to go over your health assessment results with you. I have Tuesday at 9 o'clock or Wednesday at 7 p.m. Which of those ones work for you?
Yeah, which is why I don't know if you guys have taken advantage of Calendly. It's absolutely awesome. It's a free thing. It connects to your Google Calendar, and you can send them the Calendly link, and they can choose what time they want to talk to you. Have you guys all seen that? It's pretty cool. Here, let me share my screen. I'll show you real quick. Hold on. Why did that happen? Hold on. Why am I having trouble? No. Oh, it's because my thing's still in presentation mode. That's why. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. So sorry. I think it's calendly.com. So it looks like, so basically, obviously I have a Google Calendar, so I'll show you my Google Calendar while that's loading. I feel like whenever I have Zoom going, my internet's like super slow. So Calendly looks like this. Hold on, I gotta move the screen. Where's the, okay. Why is it working? I actually have two calendars. This is the one I use. So like this is my calendar. And so basically I pretty much like block out times for family. So like, as you can see, I really don't do anything from 12 to 3. We've got open house. This is when I get dinner ready and we do some review work for school. My father-in-law comes over. So I have all of these times blocked out, right? And then I have all of these people that I talk to at various times. So when somebody comes in here, I have these meetings set up. They can either do a health assessment meeting, a 15-minute meeting, or a 30-minute meeting. If I wasn't me and I was just at this link and wasn't logged in, they would only be able to choose times that are available. So let me see if I can log out and try to do it that way. Hey, Bernice. So if they were trying to schedule a time with me, like let's say, oh, why is nothing working for me? Well, anyway, if they were trying to schedule a time with me, they would only be, KR Bernice, that's why. They would only be able to schedule a time which is available in my calendar. So let me try that again. So I'm logged out. So let's say, okay, I'm going to schedule a 30-minute meeting on Tuesday. These are the only times I have available tomorrow. 10 a.m., 10:15, 10:30, because if you look at my Google Calendar, if you look by the day, I wake up at 5:37, I eat breakfast, shower, and I don't take appointments. And then, that was yesterday. I have all of this other stuff, so this is really the only time that they can schedule a time. So if they picked another day, it correlates with my, like Wednesday I have completely blocked out. They cannot schedule on Wednesday because we're going to Fair Oaks Farms for the day. I'm completely unavailable for the entire day. You get what I'm saying? So it's pretty cool. So it correlates with your Google Calendar. So like this is Wednesday and I block everything out so nobody can schedule anything with me. So if you were on Facebook, you totally could send people your Calendly link and have them schedule that way too. All right. Anybody else have any questions?
It's so awesome that you're so organized now.
I know, right? We've come a long way. You need us.
It is really important, you guys. Like when you're trying to do this, we're all busy. All of us are busy. We're super busy. But if you have a calendar and you have your kids' calendars out, especially when school starts and stuff, like in the summer, it's summer. Like calendars don't really matter. Like you have kids 24/7. Like there's not much you can do. Like you just figure it out in the cracks of your day. But I mean, if you have a calendar and you get your kids' calendar out and you have this is on Sundays, every Sunday we don't work, right? Or like for me, I always value my family time on the weekends because I didn't do that before with Beachbody. I still worked all the time. So yes, do I still check in? Yes. Do I delete Messenger when I say I'm going to? Usually no. But like we're leaving tomorrow and we have a family wedding this weekend. Like I will not be on Messenger, and it's okay, you guys. Like, yes, this is my business, but I also deserve to have days off. But it's just so nice. I love Calendly, and then yes, linking it to Google Calendar. And then because then too, like for me, I do work in the morning. And so I started to realize that I was like really late for everything all of the time again. And that's because I start working and then I get into all these conversations and then I don't want to like stop working. And anyways, it was bad. Like every single week, AJ and I walk into church at like 10:20. You know, Chad's been there for an hour ushering and he's like, I checked you guys in. Here's your sticker. You know, and that's like embarrassing. It's like I'm 40 years old. I don't want to be late. So it's just nice because now my like reminder will pop up. Like it just says AJ. Like it's AJ time. Get off. You know, like you're done. And so it's really good to set your boundaries with all of your things.
Those reminders, like if I'm on the computer and like, so you guys saw my calendar, I think I work till, I haven't been doing a very good job of this over the summer, but typically I work till 7. So like if I'm sitting on my computer at 6:30 during the school year, it'll pop up, wake up kids at 7. And so like, it's my like half hour warning, like start wrapping things up at 6:30 because I know I have to wake the kids up at 7. And like literally I have to wake the kids up at 7 because we leave at 7:30. Like I get the kids up, they eat, they get dressed, off to school. So it's cool.
Otherwise it used to be like, oh, it's 7:23. We gotta
and I've done that. I have seriously done that. And I'm like, and then you're mean mom when it's not even their fault. Gives those great half-hour warnings too, which I really appreciate.
It does get to be like, this is your business and it is exciting. And it is for me and for Kristen. And I know for a lot of the other people that are actually on this call, like I wouldn't say an obsession. Like I love to work. And so I was super sick, as you guys know, like the week we were moving and no one would let me get on that team call. And I do appreciate that. But like also I love to work. Kristen too. Like we'll talk sometimes where it's like, okay, I really should just like take a few days off. And I do take the last days of the month off. I'm always checking in and everything. But because it was so hardcore obsessive with Beachbody, like literally when I tell you I worked until 11:59 at night every single month until there was no way that I wasn't going to have SC 10 or 20. And there was no, you know, like it's just how it was. And it was terrible. It sucked. And so like now I'm like, I'm good. It's Friday. I'm signing off. Like I'm out of here. And so it's just really good to know your boundaries, and especially with scheduling. Like if you schedule it, it's a lot easier to stick to it. It's a lot easier to honor your time. It's a lot more pleasant. It helps with the family. It helps husbands that aren't supportive in the beginning. Like it is important. If you had a real job, I don't mean to say real job. And for those of you that do work your job, like typically if you have an 8 to 5 job, you get to leave at 5 o'clock. So honor that same here. You know, this isn't the thing where like, well, if I don't get back to everybody right away, then I'm going to miss that member. Like, no, it's okay. And in fact, people honor that. I'll tell you what, like, and you guys know when you use me in a 3-way chat, like usually people, even from the beginning, they're like, hey, Steph's super busy. She'll get to us when we can. And usually right away I'll see it and I'm like, hey, yeah, you guys, you know what? Today I'm super busy, but I'll get to you by like tomorrow morning. And also that just looks like, oh my gosh, she's super busy. Like this must be a really big thing. Or also like, oh my gosh, this is so cool, because any other company, they're gonna be like, oh my God, oh, you responded? Hold on, let me put down everything, you know, and then they can tell, like, just settle down. It's cool. They'll be there tomorrow. So
there's no soul emergencies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're at 9:07, and I know it's getting late for some of you guys. So thank you very much for tuning in tonight. I hope you got some value out of it. And I will put the recording up for those who couldn't make it. And we'll see you guys later, all right? Good night.
Good night.